complete shock that Kyle Busch sold KBM to Spire, and how strange will it be not seeing the team anymore after this season?
Well, it's a surprise. It's not a total shock. What I'm totally shocked about is that a Twitter account with a name that I hesitate to repeat on the air and on the campus of a Christian college building here apparently is now the top rumor mill Twitter account in NASCAR at the moment. I mean, I went back and looked at some of these tweets. They called Legacy Motor Club switching to Toyota. They've put a couple of other pieces out there that seem to be in the works and trending in the right direction. So credit to whoever's behind this account. I guess they've got the inside scoop, and we're going to have to start paying more attention to, again, I can't repeat the account, but anybody that's on NASCAR Twitter knows who I'm talking about at the moment. But regardless, let's talk about Kyle Busch Motorsports, because as you mentioned, Josh, this is one of the top teams in the entire history of a NASCAR Camping World Truck Series to Gander Truck Series to now Craftsman Truck Series once again. Ever since Kyle started his organization, you only need to look at the history of the number of drivers that have driven for this team and what they've gone on to accomplish in their careers, all the wins and championships that this team has celebrated over the years. It is certainly going to be missed. And it's big shoes to fill for Spire and whoever's going to be sitting in these trucks here in 2024 and beyond. In terms of why I'm a little bit surprised, I'm surprised with the timing a little bit just because Kyle just said, 1 or 2 months ago, that he has these ambitions to kind of retire in the truck series, to maybe run for a truck championship, be the first driver to win a title in all 3 series. Brexton's obviously, as you mentioned, very busy with his own racing career right now. This seems like the perfect place for him to get started in his NASCAR National Touring Series career. I saw some people starting to get a little concerned for Brexton. I want to remind people Brexton is 8 years old, I think. So he's got a lot of time, 7-8 years at least, before we start talking about him in an ARCA car or a truck or whatever the case may be at this level. So who knows? I mean, a lot can change in 7 or 8 years. Maybe Kyle Busch starts to, get the itch to be an owner again and maybe buys back into the Spire team or whatever the case may be. I'm sure Brexton's going to have those opportunities, as Kyle will certainly as well. But in terms of Kyle Busch Motorsports, it is going to be very, very strange to me not seeing that name in the truck series in 2024 and beyond. And we have a comment from Matthew Owens. Good to see you in the chat room, Matthew. It's a huge shock to me. I really thought it would be there at least long enough, there you go, for Brexton to get a ride with the team and for Kyle to race against and with Brexton in those trucks. But again, we've got 7 or 8 years at the minimum before we start having those conversations. And Brad Keselowski Racing just shut down, 6 years ago at the end of 2017? Brad's already back in ownership with the RFK program in the Cup Series. So who knows what the future holds for Kyle Busch and his tenure at RCR and in the Truck Series going forward. Who knows if he's going to continue to do the 5 races a year. He just started doing that in Xfinity this year after saying he was initially going to be done after he got his 100 wins as a driver. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the constant revolving changes going on in this sport. Their teams come and go. I think Charlie Krall, the ARCA PR director, tweeted that earlier today. You got to remember GMS is stepping away at the end of this year. It's going to be very weird not seeing either of those teams on the grid in the Truck Series in 2024. But now the teams that are going to define the era of the 2020s, I suppose, are coming in to take their place, and so on it'll go until the end of time.
Yeah, good evening, first of all, guys. Sorry, finger trouble at my end now if I disappear on you. But I'm back. Like Ben, not shocked, but a little, I don't know, maybe not surprised, because I seem like we were thinking this may happen this time last year when Kyle was in the contract, will he or won't he, with Gibbs, and eventually jumped ship, as we know, and signed for RCR. And there was a lot of talk about what would happen to KBM then. I guess if Kyle had stayed as a Toyota driver, maybe this wouldn't happen. But it is a shame to see one of the big names in the series not going away, but moving sideways rather than disappearing completely. I'll Spire the new Rick Ware. Where do they keep getting their money from? But as you said, Ben, and I saw that you tweeted about that Twitter account, and I also went back through the tweets over the last couple of months. I was like, oh wow, this guy has got his fingers well and truly on the pulse, whoever he is and where he's getting his news from. So that's something we have to keep abreast of. Could he be the new Adam Stern? But yeah, shame to see this happening. Kyle, obviously, a stalwart of the lower categories, trucks and Xfinity, as you said, for a very, very long time. And it is going to be interesting to see how this kind of transpires over the next couple of years and which way the Truck Series goes with it.
When the 2024 Truck Series season opens at Daytona, it'll certainly feel strange racing on the high banks without KBM and GMS Racing, as we've discussed tonight. With two championship-winning organizations leaving, does it feel like a changing of the guard in the Truck Series? And which teams could step up to fill this void?
Yeah, it really does. Two of the biggest names in the championship. This would be like I'm just trying to think of something similar. Andretti and Shank going away from IndyCar, for instance, just deciding gone, not interested anymore. But yeah, who's going to come up and fill the void? Well, this new team, obviously, the KBM equipment is not slow. So if they can take hold of what they get through the sale and continue to push forward with it, then they'll be strong, depending on what their driver lineup will be, obviously, for next year and in years to come. The Truck Series seems to be a bit of a moving feast at the moment. It's been stagnant with a lot of those teams at the front for, obviously, the drivers have the turnover, but the teams have been pretty much similar for quite some time. Could this be a bit of a new dawn for the Truck Series, which, of course, a lot of people have kind of had their noses up about fairly recently for various things and schedules and drivers coming and going and now teams coming and going? Could this be a bit of a refresh that the Truck Series needs going forward?
And Joe Samaniego says, didn't see it coming and was thinking if Kyle was, I guess, in it for long terms, move KBM to Cup. I wasn't necessarily thinking that. I was thinking maybe back to the Xfinity Series. I don't know that Kyle ever has been on the record stating that he has Cup Series ownership ambitions. I know he did start in then Nationwide Series program for a couple of years, didn't have as much success there, so scaled it back to just for trucks. But who knows what he would have done. Maybe he'll invest in RCR one day, and go down the path of Brad Keselowski and investing in a Cup ownership program. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, Matt, I mean, it would really be like, if you want to make a Formula One comparison, Mercedes and Alpine both going away the same year. I mean, this is not just two teams with no history or no name recognition going away at the same time. And it's just like, oh, whatever. These are two top teams that are, have very solid bases in this series and, have competed obviously for wins and championships, have very storied histories. And it, like we said, it's just going to be very, very strange at the start of the 2024 season, knowing that neither one of them is going to be on the grid. It's a very strange feeling. I'm not sure it's quite sunk in yet. And but at the same time, it's going to be an opportunity for some existing truck teams and some new truck teams to come in and acquire some of those race wins and championship glory. So we'll see who rules the 2020s, like I was saying earlier in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.